Okay, here are open questions on conditional operations selection. And the first of 15 is what is a conditional operator if and how it works. Actually, if it's a most common, I can say, conditional operator which evaluates expression in parentheses, and if expression is true, following block of code is executed. And if the condition is false, program skips this block of code. And how if-else conditional construction works. Provide an example. So actually, if when we write this, when we use conditional construction if-else, the syntax here is the following. After if, in parentheses, we provide some specific condition and evaluate it. And if evaluation return true, we execute a code following block of code, which is in curly braces. But if the condition is evaluates as false, we go to the else keyword in this construction else, and execute a block of code that following the else keyword. What is the difference between ternary operator and usual if-else? Actually, the difference between ternary operator and traditional if-else, I can say only in a syntaxis. So if in if-else we after if we evaluate a condition, program evaluates condition, and then go and if condition is true, it executes block of code that is located after if, and if the condition is false, a program switches to else block. But in ternary operator, we can provide, we can describe all this condition in one line. So we write down condition. I don't remember actually syntaxis itself, but we provide both results what we will execute or assign to variable in case of true, or what happens in case of false. What is the goal of using switch operator? Switch operator is another conditional operator which allows us to avoid using a complicated set of if-else when there are multiple choices, multiple available paths of the program. So switch for switch operator, we can define in one block of code several execution paths, and only one will be executed. And in case of syntaxis, so we start from a word switch, and then in parentheses we define a variable, actually which we will be evaluate to choose to choose to what path program should switch. And the next question, what is a cycle and how we can use it? Cycle is a one cycle. Cycle is a programming structure which allows to execute a block of code until we meet some specific condition. So we use a cycle when we need to perform multiple repetition of some action. Actually, one of the most common usage of cycles, I can say, when we work with arrays or when we need to perform a lot of calculation against different inputs. Describe how cycle 4 is working. Okay, we use for cycle when we need to execute some block of code several times, and several times, and not only several, but actually exact amount of times. So the syntaxis of for cycle is first we declare a variable, int variable, which is iterator, and we initialize it with a start value, usually 0 or 1, but not limited with this value. And after semicolon, we also we define a control variable. Yes, we call this control variable, against which we evaluate if we need to proceed or we have already reached desired amount of cycles. And the last component of for cycle, I mean arguments, is increment. So it describes how we will change our iterator after each cycle. So after these arguments, we start a block of code in which we can perform some calculations. And so this cycle is repeats again and again until expression in block with control variable will evaluate as false. And at that time, we leave this cycle. Next, what is the difference between while and do-while cycles? Oh, the difference between while and do-while cycle is that in while we evaluate if the condition to start the cycle prior, if the condition is true prior execution first cycle. So it's quite possible that we that there are no any cycles executed with while cycle. But in do while, we first we execute first cycle and then we evaluate our condition. So in do while, the cycle will be executed at least once. How a command break works in cycle? Actually, a command break works when during execution of our code, we reach break command. It means that we stop iterating through cycle and go to the next code block. Just we leave cycle here. And the next question is about continue. Continue is a difficult command. So continue, when we reach continue command, it means that we stop executing current cycle and go to the next iteration. What is iteration and how it is connected with cycles? Cycle is a single execution of a code block. And no, I am wrong a little bit. So iteration is a single execution of a code block, and we can call our block of code as a cycle here. So cycle is a set of commands, of methods, which we execute inside the iteration. What kind of cycle is more appropriate to be used if we don't know how many iteration we need to perform? Actually, because we don't know how many iteration we need to perform, we definitely won't use for cycle, and but we can use while or do while, because while cycle will proceed execution until we meet specific condition. So we can't predict how many iterations will be needed to achieve the state when condition will be false. What is the role of condition in cycle and if operations? So we evaluate if the condition in cycles, while and do while, and in if operator, if the condition is true, evaluates as true, we program will execute the block of code that following this condition. And if it evaluates as false, this block of code won't be executed. What happens if we forget to add break keyword in switch cycle? Actually, if it works quite similar to other cycles, I think. So if when in switch, when we execute specific condition, and then after each block of code reference to specific condition, we usually add work break. That means that this cycle is to be terminated after execution of this. But if we forget to add break, the program just will go further. So if and in case there are no breaks, it will probably return the last case, the value from the last case. Is it possible to have nested cycles? Of course, it's possible, and it's quite common. The most, I can say, common, most common usage of nesting cycles is for cycles. It's quite common when we have one for cycle inside another. For example, when we work with something with tables, representations of data. For example, in one cycle, in the outer cycle, we iterate through lines, and in inner cycle, we iterate through rows. And the last one, what happens if condition in cycle is always true? Actually, we just receive endless cycle, and so it rather will be terminated when it will use all the memory, or we can interrupt it manually.